It would be easy for me to just say that gear doesn't matter, and then not talk about it any further, but I don't feel like that's the correct approach. Instead, I want to talk about a different way to look at gear, and how I look at gear, and offer a more healthy approach to it. Whether it's lights, cameras, or lenses, ultimately, gear is just a tool to accomplish a task. When I'm looking at buying gear, I ask myself, what task am I trying to accomplish, and is this piece of gear worth the price to accomplish that task? The best example of this in my kit is lenses. It seems like every single week there's a new latest and greatest lens that you have to buy. But in my kit, I just have 2 lenses, and those 2 lenses get everything I need done. Those lenses are a Sigma 18-35 and a Sigma 50-100. Both lenses are f1.8, which is plenty fast for what I need, and the 18 to 100mm focal range covers literally everything I need. As a result, I haven't felt the need to buy the latest and greatest lens because the ones that I have get the job done. Yeah, maybe they look a little clean and they don't have the oval bokeh or crazy lens flares or anything super stylistic, but at the end of the day, they get the job done, and for what I need, they are perfect. For me, the convenience of only having 2 lenses is way more important than having a full set of primes or a bunch of vintage lenses or whatever people are promoting this week. An approach I like to use when looking at new gear is to wait a week after I've kind of initially seen the gear and the hype kind of wears off. I really like to be able to have experience on set, and if I really feel like there's a piece of gear that I'm missing and there's something that I constantly am going, man, if only I had that piece of gear, it would make my life better, then I know that that piece of gear is worth buying. The last couple of pieces of gear I bought was a shotgun microphone mount and a SmallRig super clamp. These are not flashy things at all, but they have greatly improved my experience with my audio rig and have made my life so much easier. I find pieces of gear like this, stuff that's cheap but instantly has an impact on your setup, to be the most enjoyable to buy because of something called perceived value. Every time you buy a new piece of gear, you're going to compare how much it's going to improve your work versus how much it cost. So, for example, if you buy an expensive camera or an expensive lens, the expectation for that is going to go up, and you're going to expect a lot out of that thing, rightfully so, because you probably paid a lot of money for it. So what ends up happening is if that product doesn't meet or exceed your expectations, you don't feel as good about your purchase. Contrast that with something that's a lot cheaper but has a huge impact and greatly improves your setup. That's gonna feel a lot better as a purchase because you didn't spend a lot of money, so you weren't expecting as much, but you got more in return, and so overall, it feels much better. This is true for a few main pieces of my kit. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, the microphone mount and the super clamp, which were very inexpensive, but have greatly improved my quality of life. And probably the biggest one is the SmallRig multi-tool. It's a $20 little multi-tool. I use it all the time, and it is just super handy to have. These products aren't as flashy as buying a new camera or a new lens, but sometimes they're just as, if not more important. Lastly, ask yourself, do I really need this? Because ultimately, there's millions of pieces of gear, and there's millions of ways you can configure your filmmaking setup, but ultimately, what really matters is what you actually need and what you're actually going to use. As someone who focuses mainly on pre-planned shoots, where I have a good idea of what I want and what I need to shoot, investing in a lightweight run-and-gun rig with a gimbal or a drone doesn't really make sense. I mean, first off, I hate gimbals, but that's a topic for another video. But more importantly, my rig needs to suit my needs. I like the Blackmagic color science, and I don't really need in-body stabilization, and I don't need autofocus, so I can forego those things in favor of other things that I might need more. I've built my rig to suit my needs the best. So my best advice when looking for gear is to find the things that are truly going to make an impact and are things that you really need. Try not to get caught up in the hype around all of the new latest and greatest gear, but also don't feel guilty about buying new gear, especially if it's something that's going to improve the quality of your productions and is something that you can afford. With that being said, thanks so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.